mistakes. And Barbara was realizing that they were making mistakes, and it had her very stressed out. And she got, during that time, they did a new blood test on her, and her tumor marker had shot up 30-something points. And that had been about a 3 or 4 month trend. That was especially troubling to us. And there for a couple of weeks, if it wouldn't have been for bad reports, I wouldn't have got any reports at all. And so I was standing in front of the mirror, and I was looking at myself, and it wasn't a real pretty sight. Never has been, but this was particularly troubling. And then, but in the midst, I'm standing there looking at this creature, and I started laughing. And it was really strange. It's almost like an out-of-body experience. And I'm thinking, what are you laughing at? Why is this funny? And then, I didn't really know where it was coming from. I started speaking, and I heard myself speaking to the devil. And I'm standing there looking at this ragtag piece of humanity that's had every prod and poke and test and diagnosis that they could dish out. And I find myself laughing, kind of like, and I go, "You can't kill me." It occurred to me in a way that it had never before. I knew it intellectually, but I knew it in the depths of my being. Suddenly, I realized that it is true that He is not the God of me. He is not the Lord of me. Satan does not have the final say-so in our life. No matter what's going on, he's not the one that calls the final shots. He doesn't have the ultimate say-so. And I said, "You can't kill me, because if you could, you already would have, but you can't. And therefore, I will fear no evil. The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want." He's the God of me. He's the Savior of me. You have to remember, you can't be healed of blindness if you don't first become blind. We love to hear the blind eyes open stories. Barbara said, it's important that we remember that God allowed these things to happen. She said it was His way of letting us find out what's in our hearts. Oh, you didn't want me to say that. Many times we don't know what's in our heart until something happens. Then our mouth begins to speak what's in our heart. Now sometimes you say, well then God's just being, He's being mean, He's dissatisfied with us. I'm not saying it's like that. Somebody shared this with me. I think it's a different way to look at, you remember the Abraham-Isaac story? Someone told me recently they believed that experience with God having Abraham take Isaac up onto the mountain and make him a sacrifice, that was so that Abraham could know what God already knew. Sometimes for you to operate in faith, and more importantly, for you to operate in authority, you have to know what God already knows about you. God already knew that Abraham would be faithful. God knew that Abraham would do what He asked him to do. But Abraham didn't know. Abraham didn't know. How many times have you heard of somebody being in a difficult situation and you say, "I don't know if I could do that or not. I don't know if I could walk faithful in that kind of circumstance or not. And so God allowed Abraham to go through a circumstance so that at the end of it, God could say, all right, Abraham, now you know what I know. You love me more than you love Isaac. And so sometimes it's not that God's unhappy with you, but He wants you to rise up into a new place of authority. And He wants you to be able to say with absolute certainty, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. I can say it, not just by in my mind. For me to say that before was purely hypothetical because I've never walked through the valley of the shadow of death. Not really. But now I can say, devil, you can't scare me. You're not big enough. You're not mouthy enough. You're not strong enough. I have been there and I love Him no matter what my circumstance. I praise Him no matter what my health, no matter what the doctors say. So 2008 was a year of heart exposure. Jesus wanted us to clean up and clean out our hearts. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Anybody kind of done a circumcision of the heart in the last few months of last year? Like, oh my goodness. Again, I'm going to say not because you were so horrible, but because things are going to a new level, a new intensity. And every new level has a new test, has a new, I mean, if you go from just a university degree and you want to get a master's, you have to take exams to get to the master's level. And guess what? If you decide to go to the doctorate level from there, they don't just say, well, you've studied so hard to get to your master's level, you don't have any tests. No, if you want to operate on a doctorate level, you got to have new tests for that level. Well, Jesus, honey, we're heading into the end times. These are the last days. This is the day that the prophet said that God will pour out His Spirit upon all flesh. It's happening in unprecedented numbers all over the globe. 1 out of every 3 people on the planet is either Chinese or Indian. Do you think that God is going to have an end time revival and not turn China and India right side up for His name's sake? We have opportunity in Indonesia. There are more Muslims in Indonesia than the rest of the world put together. And a Chinese man who has been mentored for the last 10 years was just elected as the superintendent of the churches in Indonesia. His heart is turned toward revival. He is a man of integrity, and that nation is poised. They also elected an Indian man. Now, this is minority people. They are Indonesians, but they are not ethnic in the sense of what would be considered an Indonesian person. They are Chinese Indonesian. They are Indian Indonesian. It is a miracle of God that they were elected into these top 2 positions. These men love the doctrine, they love the truth, and they believe in revival in these last days. And God is getting ready to turn Indonesia upside down for His name's sake. So God says it's a new day, it's a new level, and I've got to take you to a new place. Jesus has to get us ready for 2009, the year of elevation. This year, I say distinctly, I'm going to say it slowly, I am going to enunciate so that the spirit world can hear my voice and read my lips. This is the year God will promote, bless, and reward those who repented in 2008. If you've been getting your heart right, if you've been going through the muck and the mud